No discussion about Gold Resource Corp, or GORO, is complete without talking about Fortitude Gold. So what do you make of the spinoff, and what are your thoughts with it on its own?
Yeah, so I was initially against this, but it's certainly created value. And as of right now, I'm more optimistic on Fortitude Gold for sure. But anyone looking at the stock chart of the two companies can see that my optimism is quickly getting priced in or being reflected in the share price. I would say that Fortitude is in growth mode. Their production, which was about 30,000 ounces last year, is going to increase to about 40,000 this year, which is great. And then it's supposed to increase or maintain itself at that level until 2024, which is good. Then on top of that, you can add on some very near site good deposits, which look like great exploration or development targets, and the ore bodies and the mining profile could expand further. So to me, it looks like a mini coupler. So for those subscribers who are familiar with Alacer and the coupler facility, it looks a little bit like that to me on a much smaller scale, but still has many of the same characteristics.
Oh, interesting. What about from a dividend story perspective? I mean, how do you see it?
Yeah, the dividend story is good. In April, they started a monthly dividend, which is unusual for a mining company, and they started issuing shares at 2 cents. And then a month later, they increased it to 3 cents. So they're coming out of the gate strong. They have a corporate presentation out there which says that they could increase it to 5 cents. Honestly, though, I think that's a bit far fetched. They would have to have a lot of things go right for that to happen, including things outside their control, like the price of gold.
Right, fair enough. What about given the rally? I mean, would you still buy it, or what do you think?
Yeah, no. Making an initial buy limit on it was a bit challenging post spinoff, and I think I hazarded a good guess there, but my analysis could be wrong. I'm fallible after all, so we'll just see. The dividend is pretty big, which is good. So I might have to reassess that at some point, but no plans to do that right now.
Hmm, okay, good to know. I noticed it's also on the OTC. Why are they not listing on a proper exchange? What do you?
That's a good question. Yeah. So if you talk to management and you ask them, they will say they wanted to keep their costs low when they spun off, and they were worried that if they tried to list on the New York Stock Exchange right away and something went wrong, they would be booted off. So they would prefer to grow into the profile necessary to list on the New York Stock Exchange.
Sure. And do they then do plan to list on a larger exchange at some point?
Well, that's what they say. I spoke to the CEO in October before the spinoff was complete, and he said at the time, anticipate 6 to 12 months for a proper listing, was what he said. I have seen nothing on the corporate website or from the investor relations team since then, so that might be delayed, but we'll see. My guess is it happens at some point, which is great, but I don't know when. And that's unfortunate because many institutional investors can't hold OTC listed companies, so they had to sell prior to this spinoff going through, which really hurt because it has unlocked a lot of value for shareholders, but unfortunately those institutions couldn't participate.
Yeah, no, that's unfortunate. I mean, one advantage of being, I guess, a newsletter writer or a retail investor, you don't have to worry about that. But
Yep, that's true. You don't have any silly. I shouldn't say silly, but you don't have any restrictive mandates if you are a retail investor or a newsletter like us. I would say though that even as a retail investor, it's not easy to have a company do this. Here in Canada, for example, if you held it in an RSP or a tax-free account, you had to move that or sell it. So it could either be moved to a non-registered account or you had to kick it out. And I can tell you from experience, depending on who your broker is, that process of moving it to a non-registered account can be a real pain and a nightmare.